Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time out. And if you don't mind introducing yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name's Lynne Craigie and I'm the current president of the Shire of East Pilbara. I have been on the East Pilbara Council since 2003 and the president since 2005. I've also served as the ALGWA deputy president for 4 years and the ALGWA president for 5 years. So long history in local government, in short.
Wow, yes, that is a long history. And that's interesting. You were only an elected member for 2 years before you became the Shire president.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, not
That
quite
was
2 years.
quick.
It was very quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Because it's are you elected internally, the president, or is it a
Elected
oh,
internally from the council. I guess I came here to, it's a very much a mining community, came here as a psychologist to the mining company and had a practice doing that. Observed a lot of stuff that I thought was a bit male dominated, if you like, and thought there was space for women, more women in the role, and particularly to cover off on women's issues that I could see that our local government perhaps hadn't been at the forefront of up till that time.
okay, that's a good introduction on why you ran, because it's interesting why people decide to stand for local government, and some people have a specific issue that they would like to work on, and other people just feel that they've always wanted to be a part of local government. So thank you for sharing that bit. Did you do much of a campaign before you got elected for that first time?
I was very well known in the community because of my role anyway. So I think, and we don't, up here, it's not like the city, you don't have to campaign in the same way. Everybody knows everyone. So it's a bit luckier. You sort of stand on what people know of you, I guess, and small amount of campaigning, but nothing like what goes on in the bigger areas.
Yeah, it's very different. So how big is your electorate? How many voters do you have, and what's the kind of region that you cover?
Our region is bigger than the state of Victoria, Tasmania and the ACT put together. We were the
Wow.
largest shire in the world. We no longer are. We've just been pipped off by another shire up at the very north of Europe. We have 373,000 square kilometres that we cover as our shire. We go from the coast north of Port Hedland out to the West Australian Northern Territory border. So a section in the middle of Australia, if you like, we're right across the middle of WA. Having said that, permanent population is about 10,000 people.
Wow, how fascinating. Is it so obviously farming, I'm assuming, and
No,
mining?
they're just mining. Very hot, very arid. We're on the edge of the desert. We have probably 40,000 FIFO workers flying to the Pilbara in a year.
Well, that's a lot. And how
That's a
many
lot.
elected members do you have?
We have 11 on our council.
Okay, so all your councillors are, pardon?
Sorry, I was going to say, and this year, from the last election, very much female dominated. I think we have the largest female representation in the state.
Now that's very interesting, because I was just going to ask your other councillors what binds them to the region. Are they all in mining, or what other kind of industries do they come from?
Business owners, some that work in mining, some that partners that work in mining. We have 8 women. We have a school teacher, a nurse. So very much a crossed mix. 8 women and 3 men.
Okay, that's lovely. It's great to hear that the women are coming in so strong. Wow. Has it always been? No, you said it was more male dominated in the beginning. So when did this change over happen?
It started to change when I got on council. There was only 2 women on council. So it's very much been a process, but the last election really turned it around.
It probably helped a lot that you were a woman and the Shire president.
Yeah, particularly in such a male-dominated place.
Yes.
Years ago, mining was very much a male-dominated industry, but of course that's not the case anymore either. There's lots of women working in mining as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Lynn, what has been so far the most challenging thing for you about being an elected member?
Dealing with dealing with aspects of where I live, such as the FIFO principle and the various things we do with mining. As far as being an elected member myself, in the early days, it was being recognised as a woman that I was the Shire president, and having people sort of looking over your shoulder to see if there was a man behind coming in to see.
They thought you were coming to do the notes, probably.
Yes, yeah, make the tea. Now they very much know it's about me. I'm the Shire president. There is no, we're very much a female-dominated council. We have a great male CEO, and the CEO before him was male, so had a good succession of CEOs. But I always believe that it's the person for the job, regardless of male or female, and who can do the best job. And whether that's a Shire president or an elected member, we should all be there on our merits.
Absolutely agree with you. And in terms of ALGWA, your representation there, you also served with a female CEO for most of the time, didn't you?
Yes, and I was the first female president of ALGWA that ALGWA had since inception. So there was at one point, there was myself as the president, Ricky Burgess as the CEO, and Tracy Roberts, who I'm sure you already know, current president, was the deputy president. So very strong female leadership there as well.
Yeah, we just had a chat with Tracy earlier today. So it's wonderful to hear how the females are driving ALGWA and local government representation in a broader sense so well. And as you said, it's not about getting the numbers right, more so than just encouraging people to run, women to run, because I believe that there are so many women with merit who could be elected. It's just that they don't always put their hands up to run. What would you say?
Look, I totally agree. And it's about saying to women, even in this day and age, yes, you do have the skills. You just need to get out there. I find women are very conciliatory. They're far more able to see both sides of an argument often. I'm not saying men can't, but it's good to have a good cross-section of females in your council. And I find that we're able to mediate things with that cross-section often when there is.
Absolutely. Yeah, diversity brings such a diverse point of view, so it's good if you can have those.
And I think the other thing we need to look at is getting young women, or well, even young men, but young councillors to come on board, to look at succession planning for all of us, but also to have input from young people. It's almost a little sad that young people feel they're too busy when they've got small children, and kids have activities, yourself with children running around for sport and things, very much seen as someone who's got a little bit more time on their hands. And it's really good. Some of my new councillors this year have very young children. One has a baby that's only just a year old, so plus other children. So it's good to see younger people coming on board. And I think not only do we need to encourage women, we need to encourage younger women to come and be a part of it.
Can't agree with you more. One of the things, as a mum who have had 3 children, 3 babies while being a councillor, so I had my first baby, I was elected when my second baby was 10 days old. And so I was really obviously gladly surprised about being elected successfully on. And at that point, I was just trying to establish being a mum with this new baby and breastfeeding. And I decided if I was going to make this gig work, it'll have to be with the baby by my side, and not just by my side, feeding the baby at the council table, because you'll know, Lynn, if a baby needs to be fed, it needs to be fed. And I was adamant that I was going to make both work. And I have to say, my council was welcoming me with open arms in that regard. And I breastfed my baby at the council table while we were having meetings, and nobody was inconvenienced because the baby was happy and quiet and content. And it's possible. So yes, young mums can definitely do it. So I've had 3 babies breastfed at the council table, and my youngest is now 1.5, and that's no more babies for me. So yes, we're doing I'm trying as well by setting, I guess, a standard to show that you can do it and other young mums can come on board. It is a bit of a challenge to do that sort of nighttime routine thing. That's difficult. So, but if you get a good nanny or a good babysitter that can help, that makes a massive difference.
We're very lucky. Our council meetings are held during the day because some of our councillors come in very great distances. They fly in for our meetings. So we have an all-day meeting, and we find we get around the breastfeeding thing. We have a room right next to the chambers, and we'll just take a 5-minute break if a bub needs a feed. That's a priority. None of us are that precious about our time. Grab a cup of tea. We can wait. You know, it's
Yes, I'm sure the break is welcomed for your kind of long meetings that you have. So how long does a meeting usually run for, a normal council meeting?
A council meeting will only go for 2 or 3 hours, but we will have all sorts of other meetings, whereas a metropolitan council may have a briefing session a week before. We tend to have our corporate discussions and briefing sessions all in the one day, because as I said, if we have to fly councillors in, we can only afford to do that once a month. So everyone flies in the night before and we spend the whole day in the council chambers.
That's a good effective time. Good
team building.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, how many councillors did you say you have? 8 plus 3?
11.
11.
Yeah.
And you are elected by the council itself. You're not elected by the people.
By the itself, yeah. We're elected by...
Okay, so when you campaign as an elected member. You don't campaign for the position of mayor, is that right? Or
no, that's
president?
Right. Yeah. No, you have to campaign to get on as an elected member. Once elected, you then have to work amongst your colleagues to try and get the presidency.
That's very interesting because, for us it's different. We have a popularly elected mayor, but it's great because it says that you won't be elected if your peers who know you, your colleagues, don't believe in you. So I think that's a great way of doing it. So Lynne, we've spoken about what's been the challenging thing for you about being an elected member. Let's go to the flip side. What's been the best thing for you about being an elected member?
Look, I love being an elected member. I love the public side of it. I love getting out and talking to people. A real highlight for me, a few weeks ago, I gave a talk to some year 3 and 4 children on what local government means and how we do it. And I had a little boy give me a piece of paper, and when I got outside, I read it and it said, "You're the best Shire president in the world." And I thought, that's so sweet. To be recognised, I guess, in your community for the hard work that you do. I find that I'm just so grateful for that, because you don't do it for the thanks you get, but you do put in a lot of hours and a lot of hard work, and it's really nice that people recognise that of you.
Yes, it is such a satisfying feeling to know that you're making a difference in somebody's life.
And to make a difference, because the things that you see achieved in a small community are great. You know, we do make a difference to the way people live, especially in the country, more so than the city, I think, because there is no one else. Many people are here without families. So things we can do to build our community, all the better.
So tell me, what are the kind of typical queries or concerns that you get from your ratepayers in that part of the world? Because it's obviously very different to our city folk here.
Yep. The biggest by far I would get would be around airfares, the price of airfares to fly in and out. We've had major challenges. Some days our airfares will be over $1,000 one way to Perth for an hour and 40-minute flight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cheaper to go to London some days than it is to come here. That's a real issue for young families. Lately, I've had issues from young families because there's no allied health available, or allied health can't come because there's no daycare. Now, usually they wouldn't be in the domain of local government, and we can't solve it as such, but we can certainly advocate. So I spend a lot of my time on that sort of stuff at the minute.
Yeah, that's very interesting because, it's such a big area that you cover, and traveling is, well, almost like a lifeline to them. How about the nexus between state government, federal government and local government? Do you find that you are approached a lot of the times to deal with things that are actually state and federal government issues, and then you have to advise them differently or educate them?
Yeah, most definitely. We are asked by both sides, both by state government and by our residents, to sort out things that normally wouldn't be in the bailiwick of local government, but because there's no one else here to do it, you get to play that role. So we provide very much a liaison with state government, with ministers. Someone who lives in the city has access possibly to go to those people and talk to them. That's not the case when you live 1,300 kilometres away. So we tend to perform that role. I spend a lot of my time talking to state government ministers and to their staff, and going through the issues that our local residents have.
And let's step to the ALGWA position for a little bit. Sorry, how many years were you president there?
Nearly 5. I did 4 years as a deputy and almost 5, just over 5 actually, as the president.
What was the best thing for you about serving in that role?
I loved being able to mentor councillors, other councillors who'd just come on. I found that a real, for me, that was a great achievement to be able to help younger councillors, or newer councillors, should we say, not necessarily younger, or people with issues that were having issues within their council, might want to come and just talk to someone off the record and have a chat about how they could deal with something around the council table. I found that I also liked the advocacy positions, being able to go again to the state government or the federal government, first sector-wide issues that were important to all of us, to be able to have a position on that.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure it's really interesting from your perspective as well, because you get that wider kind of input into being a local government representative and then also serving your own shire. So both sides win.
Yeah, that's right. And I certainly think, so I encourage everyone to get to roles, whether it be ALGWA or ALGWA or the women's WAWA, because it heightens both your experience, your knowledge, and also takes your council up a level as well, because people recognise you and know you're from that council. So it's a winner on all fronts. Yeah,
wonderful. Now, our audience, our viewers that would be watching this thinking, should I run for local government or not? What would you say to them?
Most definitely. Don't be put off by the thought you might have to do a bit of public speaking, or that you have to be confronted occasionally by an irate ratepayer. Get out there and enjoy it. It's a great learning experience. You'll meet many, many friends that you'll keep for a long, long time. I really relish going to conventions and meeting people that I only see once a year, but have known for 20 years that I've been in local government. You can make a difference. And I say to all women, and younger women in particular, get in there. You don't know what you can do. This can be a start of a great lifetime of enjoyment for you.
Such wise words. Thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate it. And I'm sure that the fact that you've shared your story and your views will get at least 1 or 2 or 3 women across the line to put their hands up to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my hat in the ring and I'm going to give it a go. Because really, what do you have to lose by having a go?
And the other thing I say to them is, if you're unsure, ring us. We all have our phone numbers there. Love to talk to people about what a difference you can make.
How kind of you. Thank you so much again, Lynne. Really appreciate the talk, and keep up the good work. We love hearing from you on this side of Western Australia about what you're doing up there all the time.
That's great. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.